Hello and welcome to the video for part 5 of HoHoHo. Now part 5 is a little bit different to the other parts in that the repeat for the robins is actually 48 stitches wide, whereas all of the others, the repeats have been like 24. So we've been doing like 3 repeats of the snowmen or Santa, but that won't really work. We can't really do 1.5 of the robins because the way the pattern looks, it'd be a little bit lopsided. So I've created another chart specially for the placemats for this one. So if you're doing the placemat like me, you'll need to be following chart 9. If you are doing the blanket, you will be following chart 8, which has like the repeat marked out. So for however wide you do it, you just repeat that 48 stitches. But obviously for the placemat, we're not going to be repeating it at all. Okay, so most of it is actually the same for the bit in the middle, because I've basically added on like 12 stitches at each end of the design. So for most of it in the middle, it's going to be much the same. When we're actually doing most of the robins, that will be exactly the same whether you're doing the blanket or the placemat. We just got a little bit of a change right at the start here, and then also with the sort of arches at the top, they change slightly there. But okay, so I'll get started now. So as you can probably see, I've already done the first 2 rows because they're just nice simple rows of back loop double crochets. So now I'm going to start on row 3. So as always, start with a slip knot on the hook. Ooh, pick it up, a standard double crochet in that first stitch, 1 chain, miss the chain. Okay, so now we're going to be starting with 1 front loop treble. So that's the same whether you're doing the blanket or the placemat. Now if you're doing the blanket, you're now going to do this little repeat I'm now doing, which is just literally 1 back loop double crochet, 1 front loop treble. You're just going to do that twice. But for the placemat, I'm now going to do that 5 times. Okay, so 1 front loop treble, 1 back loop double crochet, 1 front loop treble, so that's 1, 2. So if you're doing the blanket, that's it for that repeat. I've now got to do some more of those. So I've now got 3, 4, 5. So it's 1 back, 1 front, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Lovely. So now blanket or placemat, you're going to be doing 1 back loop double crochet. Okay, now for the blanket, you're now going to have a run of 13 front loop trebles, but I'm now, as I'm doing the placemat, I'm now going to have a run of 19. Okay, so just a nice long run of front loop trebles. 17, 18, 19. So as a little check that you're in the right place, whether you're doing the blanket or the placemat, your last stitch in that run should fall right above this little top stitch that you had there from your chart 2 at the end of part 4 or at the start of your placemat. Okay, so now it's the same. This little bit now is going to be the same for everyone. So we've now got 1 back, 1 front, 5 times. 1, 2. Oh, I didn't quite get all of that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lovely. Then 1 back loop double crochet, and now we're going to basically do, so that's right in the middle, and we're now going to do a mirror image of this bit here. So I'm now going to do 19 trebles in a row and then end my little group of the 1 back loop double crochet, 1 front loop treble again. If you're doing the blanket, you're going to just have the 13 front loop trebles there. Okay, so you can carry on and finish that row and do row 4, because that is just a plain row of back loop double crochets again, and I'll see you for row 5. Okay, so before we actually start row 5, you should be able to see that I've now actually just popped a little marker in on my placemat. I've popped it in just above this first treble of our run of 19 there, and at the end of our last treble of the, or in the last treble at the end of our run of 19 at the end of the row. Now what these markers do is they mark what would be, if you're doing the blanket, that would be the stitch right next to the chains at either end. Okay, so there's 49 stitches there, marker to marker. Okay, so that's the 48 plus that one that I add at the beginning to like balance out the pattern. Okay, so if you're doing the blanket, I'm not going to keep saying for the blanket this and for the placemat that for the next few rows, because between these markers it's going to be exactly the same for the blanket as what I show you here. Okay, so for row 5, just get started there with our usual standing double crochet, and 1 chain. Okay, so I'm now going to start with 6 back loop double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 1 front loop treble. So for a placemat, that's going to be where we've got that little sort of bonus tree at the beginning of the row. Then I've got 16 back loop double crochets. 3, 4, 15, 16. And always worth checking that you've got the right number of stitches when you've done a run like that. So we'll just go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Lovely. Then I've got Robin's little feet, 1 front loop treble, 1 back loop double crochet, and 1 front loop treble. Now I've got 10 back loop double crochets. 1, 2, 9, 10, and you'll know you've done that right because the next stitch is going to be for our tree between the robins, and that has to fall in line with this center front loop treble there, and you can see that's right. So, and then we're just going to basically do what we've just done as a mirror image. So I've now got 10 back loop double crochets again before we get to the robin's little feet, and so on. So you should be able to carry on and complete that row, and I will see you for row 6. Okay, so there's row 5 done. What I should have probably said, actually, I was talking about the markers being at basically the stitch next to the 2 end chains, but obviously if you're doing the blanket you're going to have more than 1 repeat across. So basically from a repeat point of view, this first marker, that the first repeat will actually, the repeat box kind of goes next to that, okay, and ends with that last one. That's because I add that extra stitch on at the beginning. So that's just a little sort of explanation there when you're doing the blanket. So you start, your repeat box would be like there, and it would end there. Okay, right, so row 6. Oops, it's tangled up here. So row 6, we're going to start obviously as always with our edge stitch and a chain, and I've now got 2 front loop trebles. 1, 2, then 9 back loop double crochet. So none of this is included in your blanket. This is just my little extension bit for the placemat. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then I've got 7 front loop trebles. Oh, so basically my second one would be your first one on your row if you're doing the blanket, because that's where that marker is. So I'm now going to move that marker up to there. Okay, so then I've got 5 more front loop trebles. 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay, then 10 back loop double crochet. Oh, yeah, all the little strands there. 10 back loop double crochets. So 1, 2, 9, 10, then 4 front loop trebles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 back loop double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. So that is now going across our center tree there. So now we're doing a mirror image back again. So we've now got 4 front loop trebles. And then 10 back loop double crochets, and so on. So you can see, this is what we're now doing. There'll be the 10 there, it's now going that way, and then we've got your 7 front loop trebles, etc. So carry on and complete that, and come back and we will do row 7 together. Okay, so I've now just got started on row 7 with my edge stitch and that little chain. So we're now going to do 6 back loop double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1 front loop treble, so you know you're in the right place if the trunk of your tree is all lined up there. Then we've got 11 back loop double crochets. 10, 11, then we've got 1 front loop treble and 8 back loop double crochets, and we're going to do that 4 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1 front. So the second 8 stitches will take us up to our central tree. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. And now we are going back, a mirror image back in the other direction again. So the third 8 there. 3. And so on. So you can carry on, complete that row, and I will come back and show you row 8. Okay, so I've now started on row 8 just with my edge stitch and the little chain. So we're now going to start with 3 front loop trebles. 1, 2, 3. Then we've got 7 back loop double crochets. 6, 7, and another 3 front loop trebles. 3, then 9 back loop double crochets. 4, 5, 8, 9, and 5 front loop trebles. 3, 4, 5, 3 back loop double crochets. Oops, 2, 3, 3 front loop trebles. And then 7 back loop double crochets. So we're now going across our center tree again. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm now going to start going back the mirror image again. So we're now going to have 3 front loop trebles there, then 3 back loop doubles, 5 front loop trebles, and so on. So say just carry on and do that, and I will come back and we'll do row 9 together as well. Right, so I've now just got started on row 9 there with my edge stitch and the initial chain. So we've now got 6 back loop double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then our front loop treble for our tree trunk. Then we've got 8 back loop double crochets, 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Then we've got 1 front loop treble, 1 back loop double, which we've now got to do 3 times. So that was 1, 2, 3, 1 front loop treble. Okay, so this is now sort of the wings of the robin. Then we've got 7 back loop double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 front loop treble. Oh. Try again. 1 front loop treble. So now we've got another little repeat, so we've got to do now 6 back loop double crochets, 3, ooh, I can't crochet, 4, 5, so 6 back loop double crochets and 1 front loop treble. We've got to do twice, so that was 1, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1 front loop treble. So as you can see, we've now started our little mirror image there. So you're now going to do your 7 back loop double crochets, and then your little 1 front loop treble, 1 back loop double there for his wing, and so on. So I think you should be okay now to carry on your own. I will just come back and show you a photo of every couple of rows, but do remember that the photos I show you will actually be for the placemat. So the bits sort of between the markers will be the same for the next few rows, but I think from around about row 20 onwards it just goes a little bit different at the ends. So when you then start, the little curve that's sort of at the top sort of starts in a different place, so it won't be quite the same at the beginning of your repeats for the blanket once you get to about row 21, something like that.